People are always calling me a meme. Am I a meme? I don't feel like one. I still kill people, I play differently. Is the Fat Scout a meme? Well, you'll actually be surprised to hear. Yeah, no, it totally is a meme.
Fuck you!
But it's actually a pretty good one, and you know what? People underestimate it all the time. Now, first of all, not every heavy that uses a shotgun is a Fat Scout. There's a very small subset of heavy players that use one of the shotguns in conjunction with one of the slower miniguns like the Brass Beast or Natasha. And it might surprise you to know that this is actually entirely viable, especially with the Brass Beast, and can make that particular heavy an ever-present threat that doesn't have many openings. However, this has the very obvious downside of no lunchbox item. It's cool and all, but how am I supposed to feed my medic GF? Another thing is, these guys tend to travel in packs. I have no idea why, it's just an observation I've noticed. Sure is a good day to be playing Team Fortnite. Wait, what's that? What's that noise? Anyway, we're not talking about those dudes. A Fat Scout is someone who completely neglects their primary in favor of their secondary of choice. The three options for that are, of course, the Family Business, the only heavy exclusive shotgun, the stock shotgun, everyone's favorite damage dealer, and the panic attack. Rarely will it be the panic attack, since one of its main upsides is almost completely irrelevant with the Fat Scout playstyle. And since you're not just finishing people off, the accuracy penalty on successive shots could become more of an issue. Though personally, I haven't really found it to be that big a problem. The panic attack is a fine option if you are on a Valve server and just want the fixed pattern, but generally I advise against it because you really will never be able to milk out the use of the quick switch speed, and of course the accuracy penalty. The stock shotgun is always a solid option, consistent damage, no quirky mechanics, just some shotgun shells and bacon grease the way God intended. It's what I used for a pretty long while, but I eventually switched to, in my mind, the superior option. The Family Business is weird. It's the only shotgun exclusive to the heavy, but the stats on its own are weird. The way the weapon is designed makes it worse as a secondary, since the more you use it, the more damage you'll do because of the firing speed, and you can also use it more because of the clip size. That makes it a bad secondary where you're using it to combo people or finish them off, but as a pseudo primary, this is good. And not only that, but it complements the typical heavy skill set. Your average heavy is better at tracking than flicking. That's what the minigun does, and so after a while, well, you get quite good at it. But the shotgun is more of a flick weapon, but these stats here, well, I don't want to say they make it more like a minigun because that puts a weird hybrid shotgun thing in your head. So instead, I'll just say that these stats here make it more appealing to the heavy skill set. The clip size also helps us heavies with our poor ammo conservation since we're used to, well, not really worrying about it until that number there drops below 50. Or if you're using the Huel long heater. What's going on? I said, oh fuck, I said it. I fucking said it. In a previous video, I mentioned this about the Huel long heater. The other flank or sneak strategy is the drop down and surprise your enemy strategy. In summary, it can work, I guess, I don't know, sometimes. And I meant the playstyle itself could be effective. And lo and behold, not long after, Zesty Orange makes a video about the Huel Long Dragon, comparing its damage to stock, and found that it does very similar damage to stock. And it isn't said in the video, but if you look at the clips, almost all of the clips show a jump in from above strategy. Whether or not this is just random and the clips used were just the clips with the best frags, I don't know. The Huel Long Fire Spitter can match the stock's damage output, but you really gotta commit to the strat, and it has a lot more variables like the map and the enemy's awareness and stock, which is more, consistent. Anyway, back to the Family Business. Was that necessary? The Family Business does less damage than the stock shotgun. It takes more time to kill targets with more than 125 health, but the more you use it, the more damage you can really squeeze out of it because of the faster firing speed. Honestly, whoever's idea it was to make this a heavy-only secondary obviously had Fat Scout in mind because it's only usable on some dumb meme loadout where you abstain from using your primary. But you know what? As dumb and as memey as it is, Fat Scout can be surprisingly devastating as a flank playstyle. Let's take a look at some other common flank classes you'll encounter. Pyros love to use the flank with their back burner and detonator. Well, guess what? A shotgun can take out a pyro way easier than flame damage can whittle through 300 health. Rocket jumping soldiers are generally not a problem, especially if you play around the health pack where they have to get close to you to heal up or they just give up and run away like little baby men.
Scouts.
This one can be a bit of a toss-up, but if your aim is good enough, you can outshoot the scout player. A common strategy scout players like to employ, well actually this applies to every class, is running around the heavy so it's more difficult for the heavy to shoot you. Except what scout players don't seem to realize for whatever reason is that the heavy's speed isn't as slow as when he's shooting them with his minigun. In short, they're just not used to the heavy being this fast while pumping them full of bullets. This of course won't work on every scout or every player, but it can sure give a lot of players a run for their money.
Oh dear, it appears I have underestimated my opponent's critical thinking skills, while simultaneously overestimating my grenade launcher's ability to deal 300 damage in a matter of seconds. I should take note for the future not to chase shotgun-wielding heavies around corners, as they naturally have a sizable advantage due to having 300 health and not being limited by the weight of a minigun.
There are lots of players that have an IQ higher than my height, and those can shut you down pretty easily. And they can shut you down easily because the fat scout, like the actual heavy, cannot pick his fights for shit. Now, thankfully this isn't as big a problem when you're fat scout because you're in the flank, you don't have to worry about turning a corner and seeing the whole team, but it does mean you're in danger of getting outnumbered fairly easily. The fat scout is surprisingly efficient at taking control of flank routes. Actually, I'd say on his own he does it better than any other class or playstyle. And you might be thinking, well, if it's so good, then why don't people just use it more? And the answer to that is, while the fat scout takes control of the flank, he can't take advantage of it. No, I'm serious, he just can't take advantage of it at all.
No, this is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins!
Like maybe you might be able to drop down on someone, but that relies on the map and just yeah. But do we give up? No. We die over and over, but we won't stop fat scouting. Not because it's effective, but because it's funny. Reloading. Reloading is boring and takes time. It's lame and I hate lame. One of the reasons I play heavy is because I don't gotta worry about that shit. I just... But when you play Fat Scout, you have to reload. An important part of playing every class is its sustain in a 1v1 fight. Or just sustain in general, really. Soldier has a shotgun, or can equip gunboats to just leave as soon as his sustain is up. The Demo Man has 2 primaries. Spy has literal invisibility. Scout and Engineer have a pistol, and Sniper... Well, I mean, Sniper doesn't really see much action anyway, but, you know, he should have an SMG. Do you see a pattern here? There's something, usually a secondary, to fall back on if you run out of ammo or need to get the fuck out. Fat Scout doesn't have that. Classes like Heavy and Pyro, well, we don't really take our concern about that because we always want to make sure we have at least 100 ammo before getting into a scrap. But with Fat Scout, you only have 8, or depending on your shotgun, only 6 bullets before you're just done. And you aren't a scout, you're a fat scout, you're fat! No, I'm just joking, you aren't fat. But really, you can't run away, you have no escape, and basically no secondary. Unless you plan on using your minigun, but that's for cowards. Are you a coward? That's the biggest problem with using your secondary as a primary, because you won't have a secondary anymore. Remember how I was flattering the stats of the family business earlier? Well, if I could add one thing to it, I'd increase the reload speed by some percentage, I don't fucking know. I'm impatient. The family business has more shots in exchange for each shot's firepower, but it takes just as long to reload 1 bullet. Just ugh. But the Fat Scout isn't about waiting. It's about when you're finished waiting and you have 8 shots and nothing to live for. And listen, when I play any other flank class or playstyle, there's genuinely nothing more frightening to me than seeing a competent Fat Scout taking control of a large health kit. The only way to counter a Fat Scout, especially one using a family business, is just, you know, make him run out of bullets. Oh, no, fuck, I've run out of bullets! Okay, listen. I just wanted to thank everyone who came to the channel recently. It's weird, you know, I went from like 500 subs to over 1,000 in like 3 days. I mean, I know subs don't really mean anything, but I don't know, it's just cool, you know? To those that are wondering, my girlfriend is out of the hospital and is making a recovery at home. And it's really nice to see this many people say nice things and care. Alright, that's it from me. Until next time.